we're just firing things up. This is West Michigan Live. James Dixon coming up. James joins us about 9:30, 9:35. Talk about the wildfire smoke, the latest reaction. And, of course, as I've been mentioning through this entire ordeal, I've been calling on Dana Nessel to get involved. She wants to sue everybody for everything, any sort of issue with a cricket being misplaced in some sort of field somewhere or coal plant she wants to shut down. But not a peep from the environmentalists on all this smoke coming over into Michigan. You got to wonder about that.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
All right, like I said, back at it, and we'll give you a chance to weigh in to the iHeartRadio app. Use that little microphone feature next to the play button. It's called the Talkback. MKD Funeral Homes making that happen, and you can send messages directly to us. Just that simple. Let's talk about Apple real quick, because again, this is just more proof. You hear a lot of back and forth, and look, I've heard questions. We even had a comment about this earlier this week about the tariffs, and I think Meg called and said he had to pay a $100 surcharge on a $3,500 bill for his flooring, and I guess he was a little bit out of shape, feeling the frustration. I think mostly what Mike was concerned about is, hey, got to make sure that things are on track when it comes to the midterms. I don't know how to tell you guys, we can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I've been seeing this idea from a lot of people. It seems to be sort of I don't know, it's like a victim mentality, or it's sort of like a defeatist attitude. It's been pervasive from a lot of people. And I've seen it online and in any number of conversations. You know, we're talking about the Canadian wildfires. And here in Michigan, it's a very big deal. It's a very real issue. A lot of people with breathing problems. A lot of people that have, kids with asthma or whatever, they're having issues. Now, I don't have that. My family, we're not dealing with that personally. Although I am tired of not being able to see the blue skies and the clouds and all the wonderful things that are Michigan summers. I'm not missing out on it all. But I am pointing out the hypocrisy when it comes to the left, and particularly the environmental wackos. Because the same environmental wackos who aren't saying a peep about this, there's a reason for it. It's their policies that are causing it all. Pointing that out. I've had people jump in the chat, jump in on X. Lots of these people are trolls, but there's some people that I think are well-meaning too. Yeah. What about Epstein? Look, I'm going to say this again, but I got to warn you. This is just a distraction. Every story that comes up, this Apple thing, this is just a distraction. No, it's not. It's not just a distraction. It's a transaction. It's transformation in the country. They're going to make Apple products right here at home and in Kentucky, as a matter of fact. Apple just pledged an eye-popping $100 billion more for manufacturing. Total domestic investment, $600 billion over the next 4 years. That's not chump change. That's a real difference. Yeah, but what about Epstein? There comes a point in time where the Epstein thing, and you say everything else is a distraction. You don't realize it, but the Epstein thing has become a distraction. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying I don't want answers just like you, but we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. We can do both of those things at once. Now, I understand wanting accountability and transparency. That's all fine and good. We ought to demand it at every level and in every issue, in every topic of conversation. But to constantly and be single issue minded over and over and over again in that one issue, it's not going to help you. And you're going to lose sight of the things that really are happening. This is a major issue. $600 billion investment from Apple. They're making chips. They're making things here that they previously made overseas. Why is that a big thing? Why is that a big deal? Why is it good for you? Because those jobs will be American jobs that boost the economy. $600 billion investment. That's incredible. Tim Cook and President Trump in the White House yesterday, the Oval, talking about this story, why it matters. Just a little pieces of the puzzle here. I'm just going to put some of this together. Apple and Corning. Remember, Corning, they make glass, right? They're going to be making things here. Precision glass for Apple products. Another $2.5 billion commitment to produce all of the cover glass for the iPhone, the Apple Watch, all of it in Corning's Harrodsburg, Kentucky manufacturing facility. This means 100% of all the covered glass on iPhone and Apple Watches units and all of it made worldwide, sold worldwide, will be made right here in America. For the first time, folks, I can't even tell you how big of a deal that is. And we have gotten somehow, this is why I think when President Trump says, yeah, it's a hoax, it's a Democrat hoax. What he means is not that the story's not real, not that it's not important. But what he means, I think anyway, is that I think the Democrats, the media, et cetera, they're using this issue to pull your mind off of some of the other major moves. And I don't know any other president that could have made this stuff happen. In fact, the other day, I think we had it here. Anyway, I may have had it during the after show. But the other day, even CNN had to admit it. Trump is the most, what did they say? Influential? Is that the word they use? Influential. I think they said president, maybe of the century. We'll put it that way. And probably dating back a good portion of the last century. CNN, folks, CNN is saying this. Net negative migration, all of the investment, the tariff revenue and income, Trump is remaking the USA is what they're saying. Now, look, if he was tanking everything, I'd tell you. That's just not the case. And CNN will back it up.
The Donald Trump administration is arguably the most influential this century and probably as well dating back a good portion of the last century as well. Love it, like it, lump it. Trump is remaking in the United States of America. Let's talk about tariffs first, right? There's all this talk that Donald Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this. It's 18%, the highest since the FDR administration in the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. From just 2% last year, we're talking about a level, an effective tariff rate level, get this, 9 times as high this year than last year.
But I heard it in the news report earlier this morning. I haven't seen anything massive. By the way, the only increase I've seen, and we've seen the numbers to boot, is that Trump hasn't necessarily brought prices down yet on some things. Some things he has. But the inflation has cooled or stopped. Under Biden, we've seen that chart, by the way. It's still out there. It's like up and to the right when it comes to inflation. I haven't felt it. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying you're not going to or that you will, but anybody that tells you anyway otherwise just has no idea what they're talking about. They can't say for sure. They don't know. It may. That's what most headlines say. It may. In fact, we had a report. I think it was CBS, which ought to tell you everything you need to know. Earlier, I heard when I walked into the studio, I heard this, well, the tariffs may cause prices. They may see an increase in this. We might see that, but then they couch it. They have to go, but we just don't know. Sometimes they say that. Sometimes they don't. They just refuse to say it at all. But Trump, again, CNN admitting the most influential president last.
But it's not just on tariffs, which of course Donald Trump ran on, in which you're seeing a tremendously influential presidency. What about immigration? Of course, Trump ran and has always run on a very hawkish immigration platform. Get this, 2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the net migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious. Now, of course, this is part of a larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this. How is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, my goodness. You have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century. And to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year. And we're only a little bit in August so far. And Donald Trump making history with 180 executive orders signed so far this year. So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it.
There it is. That's from CNN, folks. CNN of all places. Oh, by the way, not to harp on this, but I think it is that important. I'll make another point coming up here in just a moment. I got more I want to get to. There's good news, all kinds of good news. We'll go right into the White House and the Oval Office on the way, too. Stand by for that. We're back after this. In the meantime, if you're able, please join us in standing and honor our nation, the national.
To you, it's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Thursday, August 7th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. A socialist will appear on the November ballot for the Detroit City Council after getting the most votes for District 7 in Tuesday's primary. Denzel Campbell, a former aide to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who heads the far-left Progress Michigan, prevailed in the District 7th primary with 34.5% of the vote, just ahead of State Representative Karen Whitsitt, a Democrat who infuriated her party during last year's lame duck session by walking out with Republicans. $100 million in storm aid is languishing in the Michigan Senate. This comes 90 days after House Republicans approved the disaster relief for residents devastated by those severe ice storms back in March of this year.
I mean, we got federal help before we got state help. You'd think the more local and the more close to the impact, you'd see help coming from them, and we haven't seen that help from the state.
Republican Representative Parker Fairburn telling WWTV,
you'd have individual help, business help, townships and road commissions could apply for it and get money.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, honestly, you got net migration, net negative migration. You've got all this investment coming in, and then today we got this possibility that it looks like they're working on a Ukraine-Russia ceasefire. In fact, I got this right here. This is breaking just a few minutes ago. Let me pull this up for you. This is Yuri. Of course it is. Yuri Yushakov. They received an offer reportedly related to the war in Ukraine from President Trump that they find acceptable. Russia, President Putin, President Trump's supposed to meet in the next coming days. Folks, you can't make this up. And so when I say to you that maybe Epstein is the distraction, do you get it now? The man is literally remaking the country in front of our eyes, and they keep bringing this up. Now, of course, they're working behind the scenes, doing things, and I demand that we have the transparency and accountability. We ought to have it all. But all of this is going on, and they go, but what about Epstein? See what I'm saying?
Было предложение со стороны американцев, которое нам представляется вполне приемлемым.
А где возможное место встречи какое?
I'm sorry, but you're talking about avoiding World War III, nuclear war. It's almost unfathomable. It's almost unfathomable. All right, stand by, folks. Hang on, back on the air here momentarily.
Which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Have you taken a good look at your roof lately? Moss, mold, dark streaks. Those aren't just cosmetic. They're signs your roof is aging. Now, replacing a roof? That's a massive expense. And let's be real. It's not always necessary. That's where my friends at Roof Max of Ada come in. They offer an all-natural treatment that restores your shingles' flexibility and waterproofing, basically giving extra years to your roof by adding at least 5 years or more to the roof and shingles life. They're local, they're honest, and they're not about gimmicks or high-pressure sales. Just straight-up trustworthy advice about what's best for your home. So before you spend tens of thousands on a full roof replacement, call Roof Max of Ada and schedule your free roof inspection today. Tell them Justin sent you. Visit roofsaversmi.com or call 616-393-7710. That's 616-393-7710.
This hour on Wood Radio is brought to you by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Our good friend James Dixon joining us momentarily after the break, bottom of the hour news. Talk a little bit about some of the biggest stories in Michigan, of course, of the Canadian wildfire smoke, Big Apple investments.
These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world.
Jobs, 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 folks. That's a key word. And talk about what that means and why we must ensure that Michigan doesn't miss out. After this,
iHeart Radio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
All right. Yeah, sorry for the pharmaceutical commercial. I want to see those go away too, but unfortunately that was just on the radio, so it made it on the air for a moment. Is this thing just break or has it been broken? It's odd. Stand by, folks. I got more. In fact, I want to play for you some of the I'm going to play for you some of the back and forth with Trump. Let's see. Yeah. Trump at the White House. This is Trump yesterday during the big announcement. $100 billion extra from Apple, $600 billion over the next 4 years. And Tim Cook, like I said, I think it's biggest story today. And there's a reason why I'm covering it, because most of these others won't. And it's important. You need to know what's happening.
Oh, there you are. Hello, fellas. I missed you. Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home. $600 billion. It's the biggest there is. The company is also unveiling its ambitious new American manufacturing program, which will bring factories and assembly lines across our country all roaring to life. Areas that were not doing so well are doing very well. We have about $17 trillion coming into the United States, which is more than ever before. That's never even come close. There's never been anything like it. Even you, that's even a lot of money for you. But we have commitments of more than $17 trillion. That was as of a couple of weeks ago. These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. I did very well in Kentucky, but it's a great place. You're going to be very happy. I thought maybe while we're up, I'll interrupt my own speech by you might show them a little bit about the product that you're going to be doing in Kentucky, Tim.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I step up?
Yeah, somebody was saying Tim Cook looked like he was maybe feeling a little nervous yesterday in the White House. He did. I think there was a little bit of it. You got the cameras going and stuff like that. And I think those guys are used to cameras, but they're used to having a little bit more of a controlled environment around them.
These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. These investments will directly create.
I love it. I love it. Every bit of it. Hey, hang on 1 second. We got to get back on the air. We've got a few more pieces of the puzzle we got to put in here. I got, this is good. Trump on Elon Musk. Trump on Stephen Colbert, and then you probably heard that Howard Stern is leaving Sirius at some point. I don't know the full details of it, but Trump comments on that.
I'm wondering, do you miss having him around the White House, or is that poll accurate?
I don't know if the poll's accurate. I think he's a good person. I think he had a bad moment, really bad moment.
Reporters asking a poll about Trump being the most disliked, or not Trump, Elon Musk being the most disliked person in the country.
But he's a good person. I believe that.
President Trump, are you keeping that 10 and 12-day deadline? China's easy.
I'm wondering.
He says, I think he's a good person. He had a bad moment. What an answer from him. What an answer. You could have taken the time to just completely beat him over the head with whatever it was that they were talking about, but he didn't do that. And I find that to be commendable. All right, folks, back at it. Stand by. Here we go. Back on the air. Momentarily got about 45 seconds. Trump, Stern leaving or fired? They have big contracts, so it would be more like he got canceled or didn't renew. And I don't think it's on. It might be he's not getting what he wants. They're not firing him. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hey, I was just talking about this yesterday, and we'll hit it again. Michigan's two of these things, I think, go along with what we're going to talk about. Michigan's green energy plan means higher bills, more blackouts.
Purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
The most influential in the last 100 years is what CNN's Harry Hinton just said. Unbelievable. We talk about Trump and maybe his role in helping not just drain the swamp, but maybe clear the skies in Michigan. Well, look, I don't know that there's anything that can be done to put the fires out right away. That's not my point. My point is the reason we have these fires in Canada and subsequently the smoke in our skies is because of the same policies. The tree huggers now refuse to talk about it. Their policies have caused these issues, and of course they ought to be held responsible for it. And look, at the end of the day, there's ways to clear this stuff up. We just need to have these conversations, but part of it means coming back down to reality and getting real about what that issue with the mess and the way they manage force and whatnot, what it does.
How dare you?
Unfortunately not. Yeah, wind, solar, and unicorn farts ain't going to help us. Hey, my good friend James Dixon is on the line with us now, the Michigan Enjoyer, the podcast, and, of course, down I-75 over on X and Twitter. James, welcome in. We appreciate you being here with us today. And we a little bit clearer. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but it looks like they still got issues up north. And gosh, it'd really be nice if we could just have a summer here with some blue skies again.
It's so good to hear your voice this morning. But yeah, I was just up in northern Michigan the other day, up in Benzie County, speaking to the Republicans there, and just some great friends showing me around, showing me Frankfurt and Arcadia, the beaches, gorgeous. God's country, Lake Michigan, like the stuff you dream about, the stuff that should be on a postcard, except when I posted the pictures, people were like, well, where's the lake? Where's the lake? Like, I could see that there's something off in the distance. There's a vastness. But it was so smoky that it just obscured our beauty. And in a state that only has, 90 nice days a year, summer is Michigan. Michigan is summer. And so to take that from us for the second, third year in a row now, Canada's problem has become our problem, and we have to start talking about it that way.
Well, and what I'm so fired up about, I guess, it's so hot over here, is the fact that Dana Nessel wants to sue everybody over. She wants to shut out coal plants right and left. But she doesn't say a peep about any of this in Canada. And I would think if you really, truly cared about the environment, Greta and Gretchen and Dana, all of them would be lumped in together saying, wait a minute.
Blah, blah, blah.
But we don't. It's crickets from all of them. And that to me, I think we have to point out why I think it's important. Because we've got to understand why we've got this problem, why we're here. We're here because they all had these crazy policies. In fact, they wanted to they wanted to make sure that the forest didn't get cut down in a certain way, and we just left everything the way it is naturally, just a state of nature naturally. Well, if you go back to the way things were, all of that time throughout the years, there were forest fires, and there was smoke, and there was all kinds of things happening. But, I just take a biblical approach to this. You know, back in the beginning of the book there in Genesis, it says that we're supposed to be good stewards of this whole thing. And that would include, to me, making sure we're taking good care in forest management. And that means clearing some of these areas. And now I know Canada's got a lot of it, right? I know they got a lot of it. But I really do not believe that there's nothing we can't do. There is this defeatist attitude out there that just some people just say, well, there's just nothing we can do about that. I just don't believe that.
Oh, no. I mean, forest management is part of having forests. That is part of stewardship, right? And the idea that what the forest is should just never be touched, it was made perfect, it could never be altered, that's an idea that comes from year zero communism. And what's undergirding it is this idea that Native Americans and I guess Native Canadians were the real true stewards of the land. And ever since the white man came, it's been corrupted. And now it's about commerce and all these things and taking from the land. You ever been to a Native American reservation? You ever seen footage of one? Is that people being great stewards of what God has given them? No, it's not. But we're to think that if we just let everything go back to the way it was, it'd be great. No, it wouldn't. And so the idea that, none of this should be managed, just let the fires burn, let things do what they do, that's not really the world we live in. And I think the Dana Nessel point is so fascinating. This is a woman who wants us to unplug from Line 5, which fuels all the planes at Metro Airport, but she hasn't put any of her weight behind the Canada wildfires? What's wrong with this picture? In journalism, we're taught to listen for the dog that's not barking. Dana Nessel, our watchdog, her silence here is deafening.
Very good point. Another piece of this that I find very disturbing if people don't understand, it's directly tied in, this whole environmental approach, directly tied into how much you and I are now paying for energy prices. Wind, solar, and unicorn farts put online, coal plants pulled offline at the same time that they want us to plug all of our Teslas in. But wait, it's not the Teslas that are sucking up all the juice. It's really the AI and, of course, the data centers eventually that are going to do most of the consumption. And that's before we start with manufacturing again. And I just talked about Trump bringing all this money back in. We're seeing billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being brought in by Apple. But we can't see that investment. You won't see as much here in Michigan if it's not affordable or feasible for these businesses to do it. And the energy is going to be part of that. I just put it all together. But also, look, that's the 30,000-foot view. At the end of the day, right here on Main Street, so to speak, or in your backyard, how much are you paying for your energy right now? It is absolutely – you open up the envelope, and I almost hear this right as I open up the envelope.
How dare you?
Holy cow, look at the price of that. I mean, it's incredible.
It is. I haven't seen a bill all summer that starts with less than a 3. We run the AC, we do that, but it hasn't been an especially hot summer either. It just costs more to do all the same things that you did 2-3 years ago, right? There's no more or less forest than there was in Canada 5 years ago. Why weren't we hearing about this? How come these forest fires? How come this was not a staple of our childhood? Like, I don't remember, one of every 3 summers was kind of smoking.
No. And the worst part is, James, is like now this whole drumbeat of, this is just the way it is. They're trying to normalize it.
Yes.
Just suck it up and get used to it is what they're saying.
And notice they've covered it as a partisan issue. The Detroit News just had a story. Congressional Republicans have sent a letter to Canada asking them to take this on. So now it's going to be Republicans say it's a problem. Democrats and the media, that alliance will treat it as a conspiracy theory. And so rather than anyone saying, hey, what is the actual source, it's going to become Republicans say this, Democrats say that.
It's just sickening.
The media is actively part of our problem here. It's why our discourse is so stupid. It's because of the choices they make.
The same skies, this fog, the haze hanging over Republicans is hanging over Democrats. We ought to be outraged about this. All right.
The smoke falls on the just and the unjust, right?
That's it. One more thing here, James. I got to tie into this because it's important. What's happening in Canada right now may be coming our way. $100 million in disaster relief is stuck in the Michigan Senate 90 days after House Republicans approved the emergency aid for families devastated by the March ice storms. We got all of that timber on the ground. What happens next year when it's dry, lightning strikes, and now we got fire from one lake to the other stretching across the Benton?
And we're going to be too broke to do anything about it. I mean, this is, you either plan ahead or you plan behind. There's two kinds of people I noticed, So there's one type of person who will say, there's rain in the weather report, I better start making it home. There's another type of person who needs the rain to actually start and the storm to actually hit. And then they'll start heading home in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You don't have to be that second group, but the Democrats who run Michigan sure want us to be. And it's just, we are at risk. So we're dealing with someone else's problem right now. Next year, Canada could be saying smoke from Michigan.
Well, I want to just show people what it's like in Canada right now, because after I talked about this on X and then people start chiming in from everywhere, Canadians are saying, hey, pray for us, because this is what it's like here. They're telling us not to try and even help clear any of the areas because or help with these fires, because we'll be fined if we even go into the woods.
Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000.
By the way, this is the same thing Gretchen Whitmer pulled here, all the Covidians, those governors, same thing they all pulled. It's from the same playbook. They want absolute control. It's authoritarian, by the way. Duggan and Benson will be just as bad if they make it in. This is something that I think everyone needs to understand where all this comes from. It's evil.
All you can do is just stay home. I tell you, what Canada needs is not less people involved. They need more people. And so that letter to Canada that, John James sent, it was a nice idea. I would direct mine to President Trump. When the neighbors have a dog that bites one of your kids and it's always kind of noisy over there, it's time for Dad to talk to the neighbors, right? I asked a friend who works at the Michigan Environment Department, like, hey, you guys talk about all these environmental crises. We have literally smoke billowing over from another place. What are you doing about it? They said, we're issuing air quality alerts. They're like, that was the absolute limit on what they could do. So this is bigger than Whitmer. It's bigger than Eagle. It's bigger than John James. This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump needs to get involved and say, hey, Canada, either you guys manage your forest fires or we will.
I think it's about time. I agree. I think it's just another thing he could tack on. He's having a hard time as it is dealing with them right now, and fentanyl and their real refusal to actually man up on that, and that's already causing hundreds of thousands of lives. But you know what, Canada, it's time. It's time to get your act together. My good friend, James Dixon, always a pleasure. Folks can find you, I know, the Michigan Enjoyer podcast, always a great place, but my favorite may be X, down I-75.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, anything big we got to watch for you coming up quickly?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this whole thing. We're going to be talking about, on the next episode, the post-news world order and why the wildfires are being covered the way they are by the media.
All right, back after this. Quick break, folks.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Thursday, August 7th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. A socialist will appear on the November ballot for the Detroit City Council after getting the most votes for District 7 in Tuesday's primary. Denzel Campbell, a former aide to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who heads the far-left Progress Michigan, prevailed in the District 7th primary with 34.5% of the vote, just ahead of State Representative Karen Whitsitt, a Democrat who infuriated her party during last year's lame duck session by walking out with Republicans.
Hopefully, after some of the stories are heard, we'll move it quickly through the Senate and get it to the governor's desk as soon as possible.
That is Michigan Representative Republican Parker Fairburn trying to be optimistic about storm aid for folks here in Michigan who suffered huge losses during the severe ice storm back in March of this year. $100 million in a storm aid bill sitting idle in the Michigan Senate. This comes 90 days after House Republicans approved the disaster relief. Fairburn telling WWTV,
I mean, we got federal help before we got state help. You'd think the more local and the more close to the impact, you'd see help coming from them, and we haven't seen that help from the state.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Is credit card debt ruining your life? Did you know you have a right to settle that debt for money?
All right. Hey, Carol, I'm going to put my email address in the chat here. And I'd love to talk to you or your son. Please email me so we can get connected on this. Because even if I don't put him on the air, because maybe he wouldn't want to talk on the air, but I'd just love to have a conversation with him off the air to talk about what can be done, what he's seeing, what he knows, and what we're missing here. Thank you very much. It's Justin at justinbarclay.com. I'll make sure I put that in the chat for you so you got it. Hey, folks, help us share the program today. If you haven't already, please click share. We're going to break the algorithm again. We need your help to get it done. Break the algorithm. It's time. It's so important, the things that we're talking about that aren't getting covered everywhere else. And that's why we do what we do. Wow, this is huge. Is this new? Trump tells the Department of Commerce to redo the census and remove illegal aliens from it. Wow, that's massive. That is a big story. All right, let me let me get that. I got to squeeze that in. I got to squeeze the Russia thing in. Yeah, Bruce, it is pretty nasty up there. It's like in 3 different places, 3 different sections. Bruce says, I just pulled a map up. It looks like the whole country of Canada is on fire. Yeah. Some Canadians saying that they believe the fires are arson. Some of them I wouldn't. We've seen that before. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But lightning strikes when you don't take care of your stuff. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the cause. All right. Back at it, folks. Here we go. 30 seconds left. We got an after show. The show after the show, the fastest hour on radio, is flying by. And the after show is gearing up in just a moment. Stand by for that. Here we go. All right. Do you think maybe these Chinese mosquitoes are just an excuse to spray bad chemicals to breathe? First of all, I don't know how they're going to get the Chinese mosquitoes over here, Tammy. I mean, they're trying to hype this thing up, but how do you get that here? To me, there's a lot of common sense missing on this. These people in the news, I think they just want to use to freak us all out. Hang on. Moving right through Fast and Furious, another big broadcast of Fastest Hour on Radio fly by. Got to stay on your feet, on your toes for this one, folks. We got big breaking news. Speaking of staying on your feet and on your toes and moving quickly, doing it with the help of the Good Feet store today. Yes, I'm back and better than ever, feeling great, and I can't tell you how much better I get around and deal with my beautiful little girls and summertime and all the wonderful things that we want to do. Look, if you're feeling like you're in pain and you got too much of it, you're always on your feet, and maybe it stopped you from living the summer that you want to live this year. Please do it. You owe it to yourself. Do yourself a favor. Go into the Good Feet store and see if they can help you like they've helped me. Leg, back pain, foot pain. All mine cleared up like that immediately when I tried the perfect fit of their personalized arch supports. They've been a game changer for me. The Good Feet store. You got to go in and see for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Maybe they can help you the way they helped me. 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. Go to the Good Feet store today and experience that feeling. Living life to the fullest, pain-free at the Good Feet store. All right, we've got big breaking news. Couple of stories. I told you earlier today, Trump and Putin set to meet at some point. They're saying Trump and Putin set to meet. Zelensky might even be there. They say they've got a deal. This is what I'm hearing. There was an offer from the American side, the Russian side deems acceptable. Russian official for a treaty there, in Russian official Yuri Yushakov says they've received an offer reportedly related to the war in Ukraine from President Trump that they find acceptable.
Было предложение со стороны американцев, которое нам представляется вполне приемлемым.
А где возможное место
I would
встречи какое?
expect that meeting happening in the next week or two, folks, before it gets too out of hand. This is something that they probably don't want to let the time move too quickly on. Another big piece of breaking news, and we'll have more of this in the stack and in the after show today too, but another big piece of breaking news. President Trump writing on Truth, I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern-day facts. They want to kick the illegals out of the census. Talking to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to get that done. More breaking news. We'll follow it throughout the day here. Don't leave. Well, we're just getting started. On the after show, the iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcast, you can check out the latest there. I post these stories in the Stack daily, too, at justinbarkley.com. Make it a great one, folks. The Glenn Beck program is next. God bless. Stand by, folks. Clicking a few buttons. Moving on here. Hang on. Just wait a second. It's one of those days. It's one of those days. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barkley. Yeah, we got the breaking news this morning that Trump wants a new census. Kicking the illegals out. They're not going to count them this time. He's instructed Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to get this done. The massive breaking news coming in this morning. Also possibly a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine, and that proposal being looked at as we speak. I got more that I got to get to, too. There's all kinds of good news this morning. We're going to get to it all. After this, thanking our sponsors, our partners at mypillow.com/Justin or mystore.com/Justin. Mike Lindell and the team making it possible that this program thrives every day. Just thanks to Mike and thanks to you, by the way. You can help us get the job done every single day when you help support Mike, who's a patriot who has fought for this country. He's risked it all. He's got so much of his own money in the fight. By the way, Mike Lindell, the podcast come out this weekend. If you want to watch it now, it's available on Locals for free. You don't even have to be a supporter or VIP. You just log in and become a member. That's free to do, and then watch it. It's just that simple. Or you can wait till Saturday. It drops for everybody. But he talked at length about this. Election integrity and more. Plus, it's Mattress Month. That's right. They've got everything from the mattresses themselves to mattress toppers to make your sleep even better at mypillow.com/Justin. And Mike's saying promo code Justin gets you free shipping on everything. He dropped that little bombshell in our conversation the other day that I think you're going to love to hear. So thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Here's the Truth Social post from President Trump about Howard Lutnick. I've instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern-day facts and figures. And, importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024, people who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. That's all caps. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, that's always my favorite part. when he does that. Hey, by the way, breaking moments ago, Anita Dunn sitting for an interview in the Biden probe. They keep all of these folks in. I can't wait to see some of this. That's coming our way. Some of, and I think we're in the find out era, folks. Some of these subpoenas, some of the hearings are going to be monstrous. Just wait. Why does this Commerce Department census thing matter so much? Because let's say we have, 20 million illegals here in the United States. And I don't know the exact number, but just, for fits and shiggles, let's just no, it would be gets and shiggles. Yeah, that's probably the best word. Yeah, gets and shiggles. Excuse me, I got to make sure I get my wording right. Just for gets and shiggles. Let's just pretend it's 20 million. Those 20 million people, and in the states that they're in, particularly left-leaning states like California, for example, a lot of them are in blue states. What that does is it inflates the number of people and population in their states. See, the founders never thought about it. They never even imagined that this would be something that would be possible. And yet here we are. Incredible, isn't it? It's absolutely incredible. It's just nuts. But not only does it give them more representation in the House, which it does, but it also gives them more electoral college votes, which is just as nutty. But think about this. You have massive states like California who, again, are taking advantage of all of this. So you wipe those folks off the map. Now, here's another piece. How many of them are voting? Well, that's a whole nother issue altogether, isn't it? All right. Massive story. Cannot under or overstate how important it is. I think that's a big one for people to understand. But look at all the stories we've had today. Massive investment into the United States again, making America and manufacturing great again here in America. with tech and jobs, as Apple says, $600 billion over the next 4 years. That's huge. Putin talking with Trump next week, possibly a ceasefire there, it sounds like. Another massive announcement. The tariffs have started rolling in. We've got billions coming in just last night or today at midnight, this morning at midnight, depending upon how you want to phrase it. And then, on top of all of that, you have this story about the Commerce Department and where that's going to lead. That's incredible. I got more clips from Trump coming up in a minute, but we told you yesterday, the Rona report we talked about, and the day before, some RFK announcements. Did you know that RFK has announced he is winding down the mRNA jab development? mRNA jab development. Dr. Malone writing extensively about this over on his blog, Malone.news, if you want to check that out, Malone.news. But a big story, the mRNA jabs, finally some of it getting the attention that it deserves. I know lots of people that I think have been affected, unfortunately, by this technology. This person on X, RFK just got rid of cancer research. You got to be kidding me. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something much, much bigger. Another story that I think is underreported right now.
Hi, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here, your HHS secretary. At HHS, we have a division called the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, or BARDA. BARDA drives some of our most advanced scientific research. It funds developments of vaccines, drugs, diagnostics, and other tools to fight emerging diseases and national health threats. Over the past few weeks, BARDA reviewed 22 mRNA vaccine development investments and began canceling them. Let me explain why. Most of these shots are for flu or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know, caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated.
He's right.
That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. The same risk applies to flu. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses.
That's incredible. By the way, he's not even saying the biggest part out loud, which is not only they're not effective, but there's an adverse part of this, that the opposite side, which is you got all these side effects, and one of the side effects is it makes it's not as effective. But the other remember we told safe and effective. Neither one of those were true. Neither one of those were true, and maybe that's the worst part. Trump sounding off in the Oval Office yesterday, talking about all this big news. He took a pause after he took all of it in, the $600 billion invested from Apple, to talk about some of the shifts you're seeing in media. Howard Stern on his way out at Sirius are saying this comes just days after Colbert got canceled. By the way, there's a great meme I got to share with you online. Hang on.
Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside on the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, we used to have fun, but I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low than what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience. People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
He's right.
Mr. President.
Bear has no talent.
He's right. It got so political. And who is this guy? I mean, you see him during COVID. Howard was used to be this punk rock sort of guy. I don't know what happened to him. During COVID, he was like one of the worst comedians. This meme cracking me up, though, by the way. This is Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, Joy Reid, Stephen Colbert, Howard Stern, and The View. It's a Grim Reaper with Trump's smiling face on it going to knock on these doors. And, it... I don't know, man. Sometimes I just think we need a good laugh. Sometimes people, I don't think they get... And by the way, the left cannot meme. South Park is taking hits at the right now. I haven't watched any of the episodes. I don't know if I dare watch them with you. I don't know how bad... I'll put them in the stack. So I don't know if we'll get dinged for a copyright, and then on top of it, I don't know the language and everything, the content. So I haven't even watched them yet, but that's another thing. I don't think people are watching things like they used to. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't watch stuff like I used to. We were just talking about this before I walked in here. People aren't listening to satellite radio like they used to. I mean, there's probably a good amount of people that are over the road, truck drivers, things like that, but you can also listen to podcasts. So the fact that Howard Stern still has this live satellite show that he could do on a podcast, maybe once a week, the guy could retire. I don't know. And I don't think people are willing to pay as much as they used to. I have a subscription to Sirius, but it's mostly to catch news and be able to listen to certain things, that I need to hear, like the news, Fox News and things like that, maybe while I'm out. Well, maybe I should rethink some of that too. I don't know. I do think that, we are in the find out era, and so you got death. There it goes. Trump knocking on woke's doors, basically, and taking scalps. Which is, look, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. By the way, it's not Trump doing this. It really isn't. It's the tide has turned. The tide has turned. That's essentially what we're watching happen here. More than anything. Hey, thank you for sharing today. Somebody shares this program. You are going to get set up, whether you watch on Facebook, X, or Rumble, the three places where we can watch where you do share. And I can see those comments and indications, notifications, etc. If you share on Facebook, repost on X or Rumble, we're going to put you in the running. I got a copy of my book for you, Good News, Hope, and Encouragement for Trying Times. So click that share button and help us get the word out. Break the algorithm. We definitely need your help in that area because they continue to do. Even though Facebook Meta's got a little bit better, they continue to help us. See, Teresa doesn't like that meme. Now, you're going to have to tell me why. And don't get triggered, people. Don't get triggered. I understand. I get some things are a little bit. You should see half the things I don't share. There's a lot of stuff that comes across my desk, and I go, oh, that's a good one. I see it's getting good traction over here. Maybe I'll share it. And then I go, I don't know, something just doesn't sit well with me. Maybe some things make it past me that I shouldn't share. I don't know. But some memes, I think, are so good. And by the way, the left can't meme is the reason why I think humor is an effective way of getting through to people. So we've got to make sure we do that. But you also got to be serious. And somebody who is deadly serious is Jeanine Pirro. And in her new role, she is not, she's not pulling any punches. I want you to see what she said. I think this was on Fox News last night. Judge Jeanine, formerly now U.S. Attorney Jeanine in Washington, D.C., and she is nailing it. I would be running scared if I were in D.C. right now. You're on the other side of some of this stuff. Look out, folks. Hang on.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900.
Or go to goldwithjustin.com today. I can't get enough of folks like Judge Jeanine, Tom Holman, you name it. These people are outspoken, they're bold, and they don't back down at all. U.S. Attorney now, used to be Judge Jeanine, it's U.S. Attorney Pirro, going scorched earth on some of the failed prosecutors in Washington, D.C. in response to the attack on, dare I say it, Big Balls. Have you seen the story about Big Balls? If you don't know this story, let me fill you in real quick. Big Balls, he earned his name. Big Balls is essentially a former Doge member. Or maybe he still is working at Doge. I don't exactly know. He's Elon protege. He stepped in during a carjacking in D.C. the other day, got bloodied up. He stepped in between the attacker and the victim. He was beaten pretty badly, has a concussion he had to go to the hospital for. And Big Balls earned his name, stepping up and stepping in, saving the victim in this moment. But it just goes to show how bad things are in D.C. And Trump is even talking about federalizing it because of how bad, like the mayor and people like that, have let it go. It's gone too far. In fact, Judge Jeanine talked about that part of it anyway in the conversation over on Fox News the other night. Here's what, U.S. Attorney Pirro.
This young kid who worked at the White House was beaten to a pulp. He's got a broken nose. He's got a severe concussion. He's battered all over his head, by a gang of punks. 10 of them, I believe. 2 have been arrested, 2 15-year-olds. None of them come to my office, Laura, because they're not considered criminals. They go to family court where the effort is rehabilitation. The D.C. Council, and the president is right, they've got to stop their coddling. Number one, we've got to lower the age of responsibility to 14. I'm tired of having these kids commit crimes in their crews, not gangs in D.C. We've got an intern, you said it in your open. He's an intern from college. He gets shot going out for McDonald's at 10:30 at night. This kid is trying to help his girlfriend or his friend to a car. He gets assaulted, and but for a cop going by, they would have, had they gotten him on the ground, they would have stopped him and finished him. He was able to stay standing. This has to end. The council has this Youth Incarceration Act where we had a guy who shot a kid on a bus, not justified, with an illegal gun. You know what the sentence was? Probation. The judge said go to college. Okay? He took an illegal gun. He should be jailed for the illegal gun. Forget about the shooting. You put that on top of the gun. Then what we've got are kids who are out there who are making fun of all of this, doing carjackings, and I can't touch them because they want to protect them.
They know that, and that's why they travel in gangs.
They do know that.
And the older kids send out the younger kids to do the real dirty work because they know they're fine.
They absolutely understand. And youth violence is on the rise, not just in D.C., but across the country. And if you think that these kids need to be coddled and they need to be hugged, they need to have consequences, they need to understand that enough is enough, that we're going to put them in jail or some kind of youth rehabilitation detention facility and not allow the D.C. Council, one of whom I just recently indicted, to take cover for these kids. It's time to end it. That's what the president wants. That's what we're going to do.
Look at what worked in New York City when Giuliani was mayor. He went after the small crimes, which led to reducing the big crimes. So the quality of life. So people defecating in the streets, blocks from the Capitol, which I saw the other day. That was lovely. The tents on K Street, the tents under the tunnels over here. They cleared up some of those out in front of Union Station, but it's horrific. This is the nation's capital.
Exactly.
And all over the United States, we have a similar story told. St. Louis, we still see blight
everywhere.
They want D.C. now to be Baltimore.
Well, here's the thing. D.C. is the nation's capital. People come here for pride and patriotism, not to get assaulted, carjacked, or shot, get caught in the crossfire like a young kid did last month.
This is what we need more of. This is the antidote to all the nonsense that we've seen perversely infest the country and some of these blue cities. That's exactly what we need. More of that strength and truth, logic, and common sense. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, Gritter says Judge Ginny love her big balls. Yeah, you know what? We do. We need some fortitude. We need absolutely more of that fortitude in those places. All right, listen, I got to tell you this. VIPs on the Freedom Fam. I got something special for you I want to talk to you about coming up here in just a little bit. I got to cut the show short today. They're about to start drilling again. They're coming up outside. I can't believe they haven't started already. But I got to cut the show short because we got a meeting here at 10:30. So I want to give you an opportunity to hear some of the good stuff that's going on. I got, let me see. Yeah, I've got something for you, folks, in just a moment. So hang on. If you're not a VIP yet, we did Q&A yesterday. We're going to do it again today. We actually got into some good conversations in the past couple of days. Become a member, just $7 a month over at Locals, justinbarclay.com/VIP to join $7 a month. If you sign up for an annual plan, I'm going to get you set up with a signed copy of my book. I'll send it to you. Plus, you get a month free. And all the other perks, which I'm about ready to lay down for the VIPs here in just a moment over at justinbarclay.com/VIP. justinbarclay.com/VIP. All right, congratulations today to our winner. Thank you so much for click and share, folks. You help us get the word out about what's going on here each and every single day. And we appreciate it. Over on Bergberg, I don't know who you are. But Bergberg, thank you so much for helping us get the word out over on Rumble. If you will email me, justin@justinbarclay.com, I'll send you my book as a thank you. Thank you always, folks, for sharing. Good news yet to come. All right, that's it, folks. Make it a great one. God bless. I got good news and bad news. The good news is it's a deal and a steal for you. The bad news is I missed out. Well, I just bought a bunch of bedding. I just bought a bunch of new pillows and sheets and things from Mike Lindell at MyPillow, and I didn't get this good of a deal. For a limited time, Mike is selling his pillows, the classic, $14.88. That's it. The MyPillow. The thing that started it all, just $14.88. He had one of these big box stores that canceled on him. You know how they do. Well, this is actually your win. It's a win for everyone. A win for Mike because he can unload the pillows at a great price. It's a win for you because you get a good deal, and you can help support this program at the same time. Get your pillows for $14.88 when you go to mypillow.com/Justin. Use code Justin at checkout. That's mypillow.com/Justin. And while you're there, shop for all kinds of great things. I love the towels. The best towels I've ever used in my entire life because Mike's got all kinds of great goodies at mypillow.com/Justin. Do it today. All right, stand by. Here we go for all the VIPs. If you're not a VIP and you haven't joined over on Locals yet,